this one around. It will help even things out here with PSG Talon. And Maple there in the mid lane, I think, will be very instrumental in whether or not PSG are going to be able to take this one. And we are well and truly into this draft, lads, as TF, Ryze, and Lucian taken away on the blue side. And there is the Yuumi, LeBlanc, and I assume Aurelia, I guess, as the final ban here from Fnatic.
I would like an Aurelia ban. I don't really want to see Aurelia in my games. I'm glad Yuumi has been added to the rotation. Everyone has collectively agreed. No, we're not really going to let that through anymore. I wonder if at any point in the tournament we're going to see the Yuumi left open and maybe get like a Soraka, you know, or a Sona as a response. But why would you risk it in group stage? And especially Fnatic, they play it safe. Aurelia is still open, but they do ban Maple's Zoe, which I get.
This is what I was concerned about, because you've banned Lucian here as PSG. They're not going to ban the MF counterwise, so you have a really strong first pick here. Yeah, you're going to give up the Lee Sin, but they haven't necessarily relied on that in the past. It was played once already in the group stage, but now you're lacking in terms of strong early picks on the AD carry role for Bean. See if that ends up being something they pick up much later. They're going to have to draft very differently, though, around this MF.
Haha, Niski's going to pick it up. The Tryndamere going to be taken away from Maple. Considering now the Kai'Sa for the AD carry position, this has been very popular. Picked into the Misfortune, repositioning, burst damage, things like that. You can understand why. We haven't seen it necessarily represented statistically being able to take her down, but that was mainly in play-ins in a different scenario there.
Don't mind this as well. It is slowly becoming the main neutralizer into MF lanes, the Jhin, because you don't really have to interact with her at all. You can somewhat match the shove that she tries to put out. Her poke is not as dangerous as you can mostly deal with that from a range where it's not going to bother you too much. And we've already seen how well teams have been able to play around those curtain calls.
Yeah, and also Jhin is just a straight up upgrade to Misfortune. Hers only bounces once. His bounces a bunch of times.
It's 4.
Yeah.
Of course it's 4.
It's
Jhin.
It's ludicrous. So many extra bounces. So obviously it's just a much better champion.
There's a lot of threat, depending on what support they end up picking up here. Leona is still available to try to all in on top of this Jhin early. He's got a lot of range, of course, but you make one misstep, you have one error, and it's very difficult to kill him. Another strong engaged champion, one of Maple's best, one of the best champions you can play or watch Maple play here in Worlds is going to be the Sylas. So much potential for him to carry, and he really has been, without Doggo here, I think the strongest player for PSG, their iconic leader in terms of the games we've seen played for them so far.
And now the frustration just doubled, because now there's Undying Rage on both sides of the map. And it's absolutely not what I mean, we all know the Sylas is picked into Alistair, you know, he picks up that Unbreakable Will and you're like, oh my goodness, it's a mid lane, it does so much damage and is impossible to kill. It's the same thing, guys. It's just, that's a roughie. Kennen gonna be locked away here for Adam though, as the team fighting possibilities for Fnatic are extended. I like this.
I like Yamato's shirt.
Me too, but it's always
dapper
good.
As ever. Yeah, I mean, he always does, but I feel like this one in particular deserves a call out. And now you have the opportunity to ban away a couple of counter picks if you want to for the top side. But I think one of the beauties of the Cannon is that it is kind of hard to really counter him.
Yeah.
We've seen Zhao who do it, but I don't expect Hanabi to pick up the Syndra mid or a Syndra top rather out of nowhere. So I think that is a very safe pick that you can still provide yourself with a lot of opportunity to look for maybe a support counter pick. And when we talk about Fnatic, you're always going to have to talk about Bwipo and Hilly. They are the ones that are able to really, when Fnatic looks good, is off the back of them finding plays across the map on snowballing, playing this high octane level of gameplay. And I do gotta say, with what PSG have drafted so far, I feel like we should know relatively early in this game what the outcome is going to be. Because if you fall behind with this PSG comp, you're in deep trouble. But if you fall behind as Fnatic, it doesn't bode well for the playstyle.
No, I do agree, and what I was going back to earlier with that Leona discussion, they chose the Sylas instead, is that you do have a lot of power with this Misfortune early on against the Jhin with Leona, but you also had a lot of power with the Amuba. I really love these support bans coming through here on the side of Fnatic, because you are going to take away a lot of that power. If that lane gets out of control early with this comp that is so good at skirmishing with the Sylas, with the Lee Sin already, you're really going to have a hard time coming back into the game. So really smart bans here. The counter pick potential here on this Cannon, as you mentioned, there's not a bunch of really hard counters, but the Jace is still available here for Hanabi. That's where I'm kind of looking for the next step here for PSG.
Interesting Thresh being looked at for Hylissang, of course, one of his favorites, but not necessarily the champion that you think of to be paired with the Jhin, but with so many supports being banned away. Of course, now we've got Yuumi, Leona, Amumu, and the Rakan. Just, you know, a bit thinner as far as that champion pool is concerned, and they are going to lock it away. And so now, a possible Aurelia here, if you wanted to, for Hanabi, if you'd like to, but he really likes Gangplank and always has, and he's going to lock that one away. Circles to be put down onto the ground for both of our top laners, and this means that the team fighting from PSG just got even scarier. And also, what were they doing? They were using all of those teleports in their last match against Hanwha to help with their macro play. Do you know what Gangplank does? He helps with your macro play as Kaiwing. Thinking about Brad for the bottom lane, but it's going to be Braum.
It's too fun.
I know.
It's too fun, Atlas. I actually think that it would have been really good. Like, if you look at the amount of damage that they can layer on top of it, a Mephill, Silas, if he steals something like the Cannon Ultimate or a Curtain Call, can also follow up on that. The Braum, though, I think into Fnatic specifically, huge fan of. And Fnatic, they see the Braum, they see the Gangplank, two champions that are going to be very happy when you try and go hard engage on them, right? When you try to play melee, the Fnatic will remain Fnatic. The Jarvan gets locked in, and if they don't find early leads with this comp, I think it's going to be a really, really tough time for them. And they're already 0-2. We've seen Adam talk about like the atmosphere in the team, and understandably, considering their circumstances, it's rough.
It's also a team comp where if they don't get ahead, it's not great, but it's falling behind where things can get tragic. And Fnatic has been, so far in the 2 games they played, all about Bwipo's jungle pathing. How aggressive can they be early? How much of a tempo advantage can they get? And, you know, we did see that Bard pick highlighted just there for a second. It's one of Kaiwing's favorite champions to play, but the Bard is just so strong into this type of engage that we're seeing from Fnatic. Just kind of play it safer. You've got that Gangplank later on to scale up super well. You've already got a really nice tempo comp with the Lee Sin and that Silas. So if you could just stave off that early pressure from Fnatic and go even in the mid game, I think you feel really great right now as PSG Talon.
Yep, well, fist bumps have gone out, and now it is time to hop onto the Rift for the 4th game of the day. Don't worry, guys, there are another 4 right after this one, including our Mercedes game to watch in T1 versus 100 Thieves, but that is at the very end, and now it's time to see whether PSG or Fnatic are going to come out on top. And look, I'll forgive the Jarvan. I think a lot of people have been really down on the Jarvan. I don't know whether we're getting ahead of ourselves, because that's what, you know, the first few days of groups at Worlds is about. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the general standard.
We've been nailing it. We've been nailing it. We've been saying things like the Jarvan's just terrible, which he's obviously not, because otherwise these best teams in the world would not be picking him, right?
He's 4-6, not too bad, not too bad.
But I think the Jarvan sort of only works if you're going to hard camp Hanabi, right? Because everybody else can find ways out of a Cataclysm outside of Unified, but maybe he just stands his ground and kills
if you Cataclysm Unified, like, something has gone horribly wrong.
No, I mean, honestly, like, I do think that when it comes to, and we've seen Jarvans being picked into compositions that have like 4 mobile characters. And in this case, I think you have like 2 great targets. And then in some scenarios, if his cooldowns are down, maybe you can go for Maple, maybe you can go for Kaiwing if the stand behind Braum have already been used. But we talk about Fnatic, right? This is a really important win for them. They're 0-2.
Yeah.
Spirits aren't that high. After the last 2 losses, I imagine that EU is also really looking forward to picking up a win. But then also, let's take a look at PSG, because a win here would put them to 2nd in this group. And this is a group where we've seen a lot of volatility. Outside of RNG, who just look like the best by far. Hanwha Life has been very up and down, which shouldn't surprise anyone. But it's something that going into a week number 2 can kind of scare you, and a win here for PSG will kind of solidify them as the powerhouse that they also were at MSI.
Yeah, it's really, for certain players on Fnatic too, you got to feel for them. Like, Bwipo's put such a great effort into setting up so many of the early games here for Fnatic. One of the star players, big personality over in the LEC. Adam, this is supposed to be his big break, right? This is supposed to be his moment. One of the best top laners in Europe. And, you know, he's playing with a bit of a handicap. And even for being, right? You don't want to be remembered in this group stage as a stand-in. You don't want to be remembered as the guy who played because Upset couldn't. You want to actually have a fantastic performance. And this is not over. They're only 0-2. 0-2. This is where you could start to make a big comeback in this group, and that's where momentum can massively swing in terms of your emotions, right, and your morale.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Bean as well was actually quite good yesterday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
double?
Yeah. Quite liked it. Laning phase was strong, and now they're going to get the push. Of course, didn't help leash or anything like that, so are going to be able to get to lane first and grab some added control. That's going to work out. Melee versus melee feels pretty good as a Tryndamere. Not something that you're used to necessarily as mid lane Tryndamere, just in general. But of course, both of these champions are basically going to be as frustrating as each other as the game goes on.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Tryndamere, if they're ranged, just sustain it off. If they're melee, just crit.
Oh my god, I just realized. It's like, it's the return of Voivoy. It's like the AP Tryndamere is back, but in the form of Sylas. I love it.
That's a
I don't know whether it was Voivoy that actually came up with it, but I watched a video of him talking about the AP Tryndamere back in the day, and that was where I got it, so I like to give it to him.
Remember how many... Oh, never mind. Okay, no, they're fine. Remember how many champions that weren't supposed to be AP, but were AP? We've had AP
Yeah, we're talking about Yi.
AP
I was going to say Yi, okay. Yeah, I remember Corn Salad and Faker mid, yeah. Well, it was a fun time back then.
Was it fun?
No.
It was not
Absolutely
good for solo
wasn't.
queue players on the Korean server during that time, I can tell you that.
It wasn't good. It's like all of the pentakills from that period of Yi are just going to be the weirdest thing for someone that didn't watch League of Legends, looking at like a list of like the pentakills, because those ones happen in like a second. As I'm going to have to hold the thought for a moment. Flake comes back here, Hilly, going to be able to land the hook as well, throws out the lantern, but Kaiwing gonna stand beside Unified, gets himself out of the way. The dancing grenade takes a very, very long time. Ignored gravity completely getting towards the MF, but going to be able to walk this one out. And Whippo just going to be stealing away this Krug camp.
That's really nice timing, actually. Gets him here for free, although, as he overstaged, should be able to get out of here.
Ooh, so you're gonna connect though. Flags, drags, gets himself out, but River, he's got a safeguard, but there is also a lantern here as well. Hilly demonstrating just how practiced he is on the Thresh.
Nice little play there from Fnatic, using the fact that Whippo is on the bot side as well as the priority that have been able to kind of find early on in that lane, have been basically shoving Unified and Cowing in continuously. And we're at LoL Park. This was bound to happen eventually.
How did we get to 4 games without a pause?
I know.
This is
shocking.
absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rarity here for us these days, but
To not have one?
yeah, it's a bit of a rarity to be pauseless, yeah.
It's getting late.
But yeah, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But anyway, yeah, I like the play there from Whippo. It's a fairly even game here. And the tension is really high because we've talked a lot about Fnatic and where their mental is at right now. You know, they're 0-2 in the group. They're not playing under ideal conditions, obviously. That's the big storyline for Fnatic.
Looks like Whippo's feeling himself, though.
Yeah, he certainly put on a bit of a smile after the pause. PSG, on the other hand, you know, again, tough road here through the play-ins, and they're 1-1, and a team that had high expectations after MSI, where they really, really outdid what people thought they were going to be able to do, and it turned out Doggo being the sub in a similar scenario, right, to Fnatic's current situation, ended up being a huge boon for them, right? He ended up helping carry them through MSI, and you could really feel that Unified is starting to pick up the pieces here, but he hasn't quite reached Doggo's level just yet, but
It's
win
so
here.
weird saying that, though, as well, because Doggo was a sub, and he's like, now Unified, the mainstay on the team, is trying to catch up to the sub that we saw at MSI. That's not fair.
And Doggo also didn't make it to the main group. And PSG, of course, as the #1 seed for the PCL. But yeah, no, we're actually fine. And I have been, I wouldn't say surprised, because it's something that Maple has done so much over the years, but it's just a beauty to see how quick this team is able to like find a small mid-game, or what feels rather like a small mid-game opening, and then sequence like 3-4 plays off of the back of that. Get a kill, get a collapse, then turn it into a Drake, turn it into vision control, and turn it into pressure on Baron.
Yeah, exactly. Hanabi as well, actually going to eat some oranges. Has to get away from Adam here. Does have a decent CS advantage to the tune of about 10 right now. But this is, of course, a very, very comfortable pick for Hanabi. I feel like as long as I've been watching Hanabi play, every single tournament he's in, he plays at least a few games of Gangplank, unless it's banned away. Certainly extreme comfort here for him. Let's teleport back to lane. Maple is going to have a fair bit of company here, potentially. As we can see, that top brush is very dark. But PSG Know what's going on. It's 3 versus 3 right now as the chains come in. Maple knows exactly what he wants here. Good knock-up from Whippo, though, is going to force the disengage from PSG. No first blood yet.
Yeah, you know Maple is going to hit 6 and is going to be able to have this Undying Rage stolen away. So really, really a lot of opportunity here to dive deep as PSG in this exchange. You also were able to pick up Hillsong's flash in this because he was a little bit overextended. So massive trades here in favor of PSG.
Niski also forced to use his Ghost just to make sure that he doesn't die. He wasn't 5 when that skirmish started, only hit it midway through. And one of the cool things about a Tryndamere ultimate is like the amount of sustain that the champion has also enables him going low but then sustaining back up quickly. But so does Sylas with Kingslayer, right? Like the more you think about it, the more it's how sick really this Sylas counterpick is into something like a Tryndamere. Fnatic though, they are able to use the knowledge of where PSG was. That play that didn't really work out for either of them, but they found the shove afterwards. They're able to take control of the Dragon Pit, and getting an early Drake, especially after having seen 2 games today that were basically decided by which team stacked, thank you.
Yes.
3 dragons first. I think that is already gonna give you a little bit of a better feeling, and Whippo has been super diligent about his counter jungling and has been enabled by Hilly, and that's how we love to see Fnatic.
Oh,
Whippo, man.
A Sonic Wave secure.
Whippo is
a very interesting move.
Very quietly been one of the best junglers of Worlds, I think, and it says a lot, I think, coming from a team that's 0-2. His ability to punish enemy junglers, counter jungle, steal camps away has just been so fantastic. He really pushes the limits of what's possible as a jungler. He's very often 10 CS or more ahead of his opponents in the early game. It's transitioning to the late game for Fnatic where things have started to fall apart, but as you mentioned, Chronicler, having that early Drake, really nice to have. One of the best abilities you have in the game is going to be that Kennen ultimate when you go towards that first Rift Herald fight, especially if you can control vision.
And hey, we already got the pulse. He might be setting up for a Cloud Soul as Coming goes in.
Yep, River looking to try and get himself here. There's the exhaust onto Hillsong, down to 200. The Q's going to connect. Fantastic flay, though, from Hilly. Gets himself out and looks to avoid the Winter's Bite, but Bean's going to pick that one up for his support. Oh, man, this guy's pretty good at Thresh.
The timing here on this Rift Herald, there was a window where you could see some warding there from Adam. It was deep and had better vision control. Flippo's going to come over the wall here, but look at the group up now. The scary thing is, Hijack's coming off a cooldown here from Maple very soon. This is definitely a winnable fight here for PSG if they can rotate in, but they're very slow on this.
Yes, so much vision available, but they're not really going to do anything about it, because the eye is just going to be picked up. Cannon Barrage could have been used. I mean, we've seen Cannon Barrages steal things in that pit before, especially as LCK commentators.
Certainly. There are a lot of ways they could have come in a lot faster there.
Yeah, just didn't quite have enough people in position, and now Kyling's forced to flash, get himself out of the way. Whippo's going to get first blooded, though. Sanabi flashes forward with his flaming sword. Now Maple with an opportunity. He's got his own slicing maelstrom and will clean up Fnatic. Better late than never here for PSG.
You don't need to fight. You got the Herald. You did the thing that you came there to do. You don't have to stay. And this is something that we've seen Fnatic do so often. We're like, I love that play, right? You read the map very well. You're able to pick up a Herald for free on vision. You get away with Nerd, and then you walk up to the police and go like, guys, I did it. Like, like, put me in jail. And then the frustrating thing with this is I think if you just back off there, you're able to then take the Herald, turn it into gold lead on one of your characters, and then snowball the map pretty consistently from there. But instead,
look at how it starts.
All in.
Look at how it starts. Whippo's just trying to get a bigger lead in the jungle, and if you could actually get over the wall there on top of Maple, maybe you can make a play. But this is just a bridge too far, Fnatic, because you're walking into a choke point here. Yes, you do have the Kennen, so it feels like if you see an engage from PSG on top of your carries here, maybe you can get that Slicing Maelstrom off, but the Slicing Maelstrom is stolen. You don't have positional advantage there. You're walking right into a trap. Arms behind your back even. It was just not the place you wanted to be as Fnatic. Extreme greed, and what was a fantastic start is now a huge lead for PSG.
Yeah, and when the Rift Herald comes down, it should equalize this gold just a little bit, but the advantage that you had for yourself, like Fnatic, that was beautifully done at the beginning. Oi, difficult.
And this is something that has categorized PSG so much. Like, you cannot disrespect this team. Like, they are really, really good. Mechanically, they will identify situations like this. River's like, he's dead. Like, I don't know what he's doing here, but like, he's dead on my screen. I'm going all in. They blow him up immediately. And it's exactly that type of kind of decisiveness that makes going for aggressive plays like that without proper control of the enemy jungle such a big risk, especially against a team that played really well. And I wonder whether they fought Unified back, because what happened there is Unified walked up relatively far, then started channeling his back. But then PSG saw Fnatic, they keep going, and then actually made his way to the fight. And we saw how it ended.
Well, now River looking for an opportunity. There is the Rift Herald thrown down. Q's going to connect onto it though. We'll see whether they can actually poke Shelly's eye, as she's not actually starting up the charge yet. That Q not going to work out, and then River just going to smite it. That was a whoopsie. And now any advantage that you were supposed to get from the Rift Herald is non-existent.
I don't like it. I get so excited for Fnatic early games this tournament. I get so excited.
Yeah, well, the door is going to be shown to Fnatic now as both of them get knocked up with the Glacial Fissure. Kyring down very low as now Niski gets into the Cataclysm alongside Bwipo. He's going to get that work done, but it's a 1-for-1 as Bwipo's already been taken down. Maple still with the Undying Rage available. Bean not going to be able to get any further forward. He does, of course, have a lot of long-range abilities. As meanwhile, on the top side, picture-in-picture, there is a lot of work being done by Hanabi. As Adam going to be forced back home yet again. We'll have teleport if he wants to get back, but this is going to be the Drake taken away by PSG.
The scary part about taking fights like this as Fnatic in these skirmishes is that Maple gets to press R second over Niski in every fight, in every scenario. So if you do go too far, if you do go too deep, trying to look for these kills, there's no way out. There is a very easy punish available for PSG as long as Maple is nearby. So it's just so terrifying to commit. Lantern block!
Oh no, it's been what? He's just able to walk out, but it was well blocked.
Yeah, I was scared for a second.
Well, now Maple's going to come through. Yeah, exactly right. Once again, extended exchanges. It's another concussive blows to come through to get that stun. As now Niski, he's got his Undying Rage as well as Maple. He's going to proc his. That's the killing spree for the Silas. As, yeah, he unfortunately doesn't have the ability to press Q and get all of his health back afterwards, so he's just going to die to minions. That wasn't great from Maple, and Niski's going to be able to walk his way out.
He pressed R first. There are too many minutes.
I think the R is spelled A-H-H-H-H-H, unfortunately, in this case.
I guess you'll take it. Niski getting fed is one of the ways that, as Fnatic, you're clinging on to this game. And, like, clinging on is a bit dramatic. They're 1k gold behind. They have a composition that can still fight. But we can't get this lead extend, right? And it's not like the PSG side doesn't snowball well. And now Niski able to pick up both his guild force and also has the lethal temper, so he's going to put out an insane amount of damage. Unified.
Yeah, well, they're just going to dive straight underneath this turret before that teleport could even come through. Barrel's going to come up and going to be avoided completely. The Cataclysm comes on in, and Hanabi, unfortunately, this ain't it, my friend. He didn't have his cannon barrage and was just trying to find a kill, but 1v3 ain't going to do it.
We take those.
I guess so. I mean, look, as Hanabi, he's probably like, oh, I don't know if there's another ward in this brush. I don't know if I'm seeing, like, should I just back? That's the one way I can get out of this. But he decides to try to look for the traded kill. Doesn't get that either. And suddenly, you know, Fnatic had that little dip. And then they've been given a few donations here in the mid game. And the gold lead is now only 400. I mean, you talked about it was only 1,000. Now it's halved. And PSG really need to be careful about playing with their food here.
Yeah, and got to tighten it up. They have been able to do this, of course, and it's close to 15 minutes into this game. Shirley going to be on the map very, very soon. 400 gold, still the lead here for PSG, and their team fighting is still going to be very, very scary. Right? Like, this composition is not to be underestimated. Fnatic have some tools themselves, so PSG, we're going to tighten this one up.
Again, want to highlight Bean here, being able to play as cleanly as he does. Very low death, especially considering the fact how Fnatic has been kind of bullied around. These continuous skirmishes, and again, from a player basically going straight from EU Masters, but not like Adam did, where you win EU Masters and then you have like a split of LEC, but just straight to the World's group stage is such a tall ask, and I think that now 2-0 on the Jhin should be able to really exert his presence in these fights, as the second Herald does get picked up. Gonna be looking, as per usual, at the Drake fight that's gonna be set up in a minute 30, because with Fnatic now being not even behind anymore, I was gonna say barely, but that's not the case, and having two big spikes in those Guild Force finished, also is the mythic finish for Adam, who has the Proto Belt. Fnatic now very much in this game.
So much mobility added with these three mythics coming through, and I mean, Niski gets the bottom turret, grabs those Krugs. He is starting to really get online here, and this is a really scary moment where PSG can very quickly lose control over the map and lose control of vision. Look at the deep wards there for Fnatic actually to the left of the Drake pit. They're starting to get that extra vision, and PSG have a few champions that can't just really walk through the jungle safely, especially this Misfortune, who's trying to roam a lot, trying to have big impacts, especially dealing with this pushing Tryndamere. Might get punished if she walks over one of those wards.
Yeah. Well, here in this side lane, Niski versus Maple continues. But it looks like the Tryndamere is going to have the priority in this lane, at least for now. 2-0-0 on the mid lane up for Fnatic. That Gale Force, like you were talking about, is going to be completed. Not going for the Gore Drinker build that we've seen so many times. Of course, people talking about Kraken Slayer as well, but wanting that extra mobility. Of course, Tryndamere's liked the Gale Force first, before he sort of became cool just recently in more recent patches. Tryndamere players did like Gale Force when mythic items first became a thing. Not so much, but Niski's still on that train.
The thing for PSG here, of course, is that you can try and force it. As I say, that the teleport, so I guess the force, you don't have to. You have great scaling, but they're looking to fight here, or at the very least, throw down Herald, maybe go for a push down mid.
Yeah, I like this. Just grab yourself some control of this mid lane. But Blippo says no. He wants to fight right now, and he's just thrown into the bouncy castle. Thankfully, he has a lantern to take. Shirley's still amongst this one as well, as Cannon Barrage was picked out. She is going to charge forward. Fnatic, though, back to the mid lane. Unable to be in position right now for this Drake that both of these teams want so much. Under half health, going to be so difficult for him to engage. Doesn't have Cataclysm.
Adam has teleport, and he could try to look for a flank here. He's got his ultimate available, but he's sticking with his squad for now. They're playing this so slowly, Fnatic are, so safely here.
And Maple's the one actually looking for the flank, as you can see. Makeshift cannon, and in goes Adam. He's immediately exhausted. The rest of the team, they do need to try and follow up, but it's the flash out from Kaiwing. Niski looking for the low health targets. He's going to take down Unified in the backline, and Flippo's going to deal with Maple, who tried to do the same thing, but failed. And Fnatic win a team fight and will now be able to take the Drake.
And what we see there is the immediacy of Fnatic. Even though Adam doesn't actually find anyone specifically with the Slicing Maelstrom, he does even exhaust and split up the fight. And that is all the space that Niski needs. As the Gale Force, as mentioned already quite fed, spins on top of that backline, takes a little bit of time. Kaiwing tries to jump out, is actually able to do so, but then does find the kill on Unified. And now we have gone from a game where it felt like Fnatic, good early game, then PSG taking a huge lead after a misstep of Fnatic in the jungle. And now I'm starting to feel like Fnatic very clearly aware of the fact that if you get a favorable take like that, 3 ultimates used by PSG in that mid lane kerfuffle that didn't actually lead to anything. And Fnatic's like, we still have 4 of our ultimates.
Yeah,
we can go.
And they did, and it worked.
You've got to be so careful, too, as Hanabi in this game now, because your side laning is always going to be under threat. As watching this fight happen again, I mean, you talked about Adam in this Axe replay. He just flashes in, looks for the Slicing Maelstrom, and suddenly now, half of the team of PSG is cut off from River and Maple. So Maple can't actually really buffer, he can't actually set up for anything in this fight. And by the time that he actually gets into the thick of things, it's already over. And Fnatic now are in a position where they have so much control over the map, so much control over vision. Side laning, not really a thing that PSG could do safely anymore, especially dealing with Niski's Tryndamere. He can catch you off guard, he can catch you as the GP.
And the big thing for me was that Hanabi used his Cannon Barrage when Bwipo engaged, and that was actually, it was so clear how hard it is for Fnatic to deal with. And in hindsight, that play from Bwipo was so smart, because I think the goal, seemingly, was PSG just throw your ultimates. Bwipo was able to get out, only invested the Cataclysm. It was both the lead kick, the Cannon Barrage, as well as, I think, Kaiwing's ultimate. So with all of those gone, all of a sudden the pressure from PSG in that follow-up skirmish was so much less. Now, Fnatic able to get the second Drake, able to start finishing these items. And the beauty of the cannon by Adams, yeah, you know, he's behind. He's probably not going to win his side laning against Hanabi, but it doesn't matter at all. We have Niski, who just finished his quick blades. We have Bean, who is building towards the second item, just finished his last Whisper. And as long as those two players can remain on the map and try and find an opening, the moment that there is no CC available for Niski, he's going to spin on someone and he's going to die. And there is an exhaust Braum, but Kaiwing also got 2 tapped, so it's not great.
Yeah, and the Braum had to try and get out of there, try and save himself, and then Unified's like, but aren't you supposed to stand beside me? But no, he can't do that either, because the spin is just a little bit too strong. When these cooldowns, like you were talking about, they've been tracked so well by Fnatic in that last fight, that Niski's just able to do whatever the heck he wants, and that is not what you want if you're a PSG fan, as River looks to try and get his blue buff. He's not going to get it.
Fnatic are cross-mapping so well. Every time Niski comes up to, when he goes to the side lane, it was bottom before, now the top side, he gets a turret and the rest of his team goes with him. They're kind of setting up as bodyguards. If anyone tries to rotate in there, you collapse on top of them. And you're doing fine as Adam on the other lane against Hanabi. You're not winning it, you're not crushing it, but you're going to be totally okay, especially when you have teleport up like this. If there is a fight, if they do decide to commit, you've got that teleport, you have your slicing maelstrom available. It almost just feels like map checkmate here for Fnatic. We talked about it all the way back to when this map started, but I mean, the beginning of the game, get that early Drake control. I know this is a big meme in the LCK whenever I call a game of LCK on map. But having that early Drake control is
That's
nice.
another Cataclysm. Bwipo deep underneath 2 turrets. He's going to get taken down, but can Fnatic find anything more? Niski now has to use the Undying Rage. Looks to try and spin his way out, but he's on top of a Cannon Barrage and will be tidied up. Adam with the ultimate, but only onto Maple, who uses the best item in the game and does move himself away. Now 5 alive for PSG, and Fnatic without their jungler or their mid laner, and it could just be a Baron for PSG.
I was fine when it happened in mid lane, but there was a turret there. You can't dive that deep without the rest of your, or that deep rather without the rest of your team to follow up. And also one of the most fat members in Niski isn't here.
Well, now the bullet time comes through. Hylissang going to flash out of the way. It's now Maple coming on in for the flank, but not going to get too much with his slicing maelstrom that he stole away. Hylissang with the 3-man plays pretty good, but he's still dead. Saves, possibly. One of the members of Fnatic tries to stop that engagement.
Well, at the end of the day, they're able to prevent the Baron here. I mean, that's what counts. I mean, sometimes you have to make rough choices. You have to take these awkward fights to prevent that from happening. Could have been a little bit cleaner here, but at least they're able to stop PSG from getting that critical Baron. And Hylissang is able to help his teammates escape there, because I don't think that's a fight you really wanted to commit into further, despite those low health bars.
It's probably fine, because now it's actually Fnatic that has tempo on the Baron, right? Like the multiple members of PSG actually have to back up the back of that. Like I said, fine with it last time. This time you're diving 2 screens deep while there is a turret. So immediately we see the
Exhaust
Cannon
is so
Barrage
good.
comes through, we see the Barrage, and yeah, then also Niski is in a very unfortunate situation, but there's no one to help him. And he does a lot of damage, but if everyone just kites him and or is too tanky, don't really get a lot done. Do really like Fnatic's attempt that we don't get to see here now, or rather successful attempt at taking the Baron. That's
Going to get flashed on and killed.
Hey, I said it earlier, suddenly Tryndamere appears. As your side lane is Hanabi, you die. You can't deal with that at all. You've got no escape. You've got no way to get out of there. And this is a fed Tryndamere who's now got the quick blades, as was mentioned earlier. Very easy to actually just come in there and say, nope, you're not allowed to do this. It's illegal, as Chronicle would call it. And
no, that's Caedrel.
That's Caedrel.
I appreciate
you used it. You used it a little bit here in the LCK.
I did, but credit where credit is due.
Sure. I thought that was you. I didn't know.
No.
I mean, he did use it, so actually, you know, it's fine. If Caedrel's willing to share, we'll have to ask him. Let us know, Caedrel.
We don't have enough memes in the LCK yet. We need more.
Yeah,
Really?
see, that's why I tried to attribute it to you. I'm trying to buff you here.
We have like an encyclopedia of memes. Like, it has its own page.
And now with the soul point going over to Fnatic, I do actually think that they're in a very favorable position. Obviously, overforce, not necessary, but it doesn't actually lead to an objective, which has been a recurring theme today, where as long as you don't lose the Baron, the soul point, or the actual soul, giving up a kill left and right in the current state of the game isn't gonna be the end of the world. So as long as Fnatic stays cool, and I know that for Fnatic specifically, sometimes that can be hard, but for the next 4 minutes, set up nicely with the pressure that you have in your side lane with an unkillable Tryndamere, you should be in a fine position to get soul and be in a primo position to get that first win.
Whoa, in goes River, goes very, very far, following the flagging and dragging Jarvan, but he is going to be kicked into a bullet time, but he's pretty tanky, so he's going to survive that one. Bwipo does have to use the flash, so no more flash cataclysms to come through, as now Niski on a potential flank position right now if PSG wanted to challenge for the chickens, but they do decide not to.
Adam has teleport as well, but there's no great ward to get onto here to try to collapse there, and this ended up being a pretty safe exchange for PSG at the end of the day. The problem is that Adam is still side laning freely. Someone's going to have to deal with that, and yet again, Fnatic just rinse and repeat. You're going to clear that Baron vision off. You've got the better range with this Jhin pick, and you can just sit back and wait for them to come to you. And if they do overcommit, then you have that ward this time because you finally get that deep vision. As you can see here, they're starting to clear up. Then you can get that really awesome flanking cannon through.
Yeah, and you can see the island of PSG gold lead that happened between 10 minutes and 15 minutes is going to be immediately into the ocean of Fnatic, which is what I saw in the picture that was the gold graph. Can't help but seeing
How are you doing,
every time.
I like the island.
It's
I
getting
never thought about it that
little
way.
bit late. Yeah.
And it does kind of show, honestly, we talked about Fnatic being a little bit volatile sometimes, but PSG have also had some rough early games. RNG comes to mind, and now the trap being set again. We've seen this one before.
There's a lot of PSG members around here, but Niski is still very, very scary. Adam's going to teleport in. There's the slicing Maelstrom. The stand beside me comes on forward. Kaiwing staying alive. The exhaust comes in, and both of them are dead. And PSG, after tidying up both of the solo laners, are thinking about grabbing some more control around this Baron.
This is not what I had in mind when I was talking about the teleport coming in here from Adam to look for the big ultimate there, because they don't have enough follow-up damage. You hit the slicing Maelstrom, but you're not able to kill anybody, and this is just too little too late here.
Well, now Maple looking for more. Bwipo's going to get himself out with the help of Hylissang, though. And there's another bullet time to come through. The flash forward from Maple. He doesn't want to give this one up just yet. Still has the Undying Rage. Fnatic have backed away successfully. Very deadly flourish there from Bean. No follow-up, really.
Health bars are low.
And with PSG investing this much in an attempt to chase down Fnatic, it's going to be another scenario. Yeah, cool. You got the kill. You killed Niski and Adam, but now you're not able to get anything out of it. Instead of trying to reach for the Baron when the 50-50 is still there, when the flip is available, because they do actually read this play really nicely, right? You have the Guardian Grom standing at the ready to make sure Hanabi is safe. Adam immediately gets exhausted like happened last time, but then I get that it's tempting to go for this Baron, but like there is a lot of range still available. Bwipo is full health, so even in the best case scenario where you do actually get the Baron down, it might be a 50-50, then they chase really far through the jungle. And I think that the most important objective in this fight is not that Baron, it's the Drake that's spawning in the next minute.
My biggest issue with that play is that there's a clear disconnect between Bean and Hylissang and the rest of the team that's going in. They're looking to set up for Baron. You're going all in on this fight that looks like a 3v4 at best for Fnatic. And now you also lost your teleport on your cannon, which is one of the best ways you can objective fight. Now this is sneaky.
Yeah, we're just doing Baron. Here is Fnatic trying to two-man it. Of course, Tryndamere and the Jarvan can certainly do so, putting the flag down to help everyone out as well. It's down to half health. PSG have no idea. This is gone.
And they can't even contest.
Yeah,
and
Drake's not even up. And they might be able to sacrifice Adam, but to get a Baron for this, you'll take that any day of the week. The flash comes in, there's the dash cannon as well. He stuns them up. Cannon barrage comes on down, and yes, they managed to take the purple ninja in the bottom lane. However, the purple worm dies in the Baron pit, and now Fnatic just... I don't understand this game, but I love it from Fnatic.
It's beautiful. If your team is sneaking a two-man Baron, you don't have to shove in the bot wave. Like you can take it a little bit slower. Adam investing a lot and actually getting taken down, but Fnatic,
he was baiting. It's totally fine.
I don't think they knew Atlas.
Well, I mean,
I'm
look,
trying to get on the level of this, and I don't think I'm there. Yeah, the 4D chess, I'm trying to catch up.
They will get the Drake as well. They're able to get Adam's flash, and we'll see how big this Red Bull Baron power play ends up being here, because you know you've lost your cannon yet again. You still have obviously extremely powerful side laning with this Tryndamere pick, but you're not in a position right now to safely utilize it. So in a lot of ways, you get the Baron, and that comes with a lot of gold. That comes with a little bit of map control and extra presence. But if you can't use it for major objectives as PSG, you still feel like there's a chance you can hold on here, look for better fights later. This is definitely not a massive Baron by any means because of that bottom pick and the control that came with it.
Yeah. I just like how ahead of the play Fnatic were, though, knowing that PSG had to stop them from getting the soul, and then using that, which we've talked about, you know, make sure that your opponent isn't able to make the decision. PSG had to go to the Drake, and therefore Fnatic capitalized by just giving it up. Don't lose too much from that. It's just a singular ocean. Really beautifully done here from Fnatic, but they still have to close out this game. It's not, there's 1.4k. I'm saying close out the game. They have to utilize the Baron to get themselves a lead that is going to be able to allow them to win, as the cute little shot onto the turret and then Lantern Ride to safety for Bean.
Because there's been a lot of Gangplanks that have gone for, you know, these builds that they're kind of beefy. Divine Sun, the respect. Not Hanabi, he has a full crit build on the Gangplank, and that is, no matter what you do as Fnatic, you need to remain in full awareness of one, where he is, and secondly, like, where are the barrels?
Yeah.
Because if a barrel hits now on someone like Beam, who's been playing very cleanly all game, has been playing very risk-averse, which I think is really good, you know, provide the stability, the backup that Jhin can really give a team, you cannot get hit by one. Because the Infinity Edge is there. This time, the character in question actually does have 60% crit, so it works. And that does mean that if Hanabi now finds another of those Fnatic plays where they overextend, you eat like 1 or 2 barrels and a cannon barrage, you can still get blown up. And that's why I think that Fnatic, they have a lead, but it's more due to the fact the pressure that they have through this Ocean Drake.
Well, the other issue that they have is that they have obviously a really strong front line. They have a Tryndamere who can side lane. They have a Kennen that can side lane, but they don't have a really strong pushing mage. They don't have amazing siege in terms of pushing these waves through. They obviously have a lot of range in this Jhin pick, but the consistent damage in these fights is very much short bursts. You've got to have that Kennen ultimate coming through. Once the Undying Rage is done, if Bean didn't kill somebody, if they're not actually getting extremely low, you don't win the follow-up fight because they have way more consistent damage than you do in that extended exchange with the Gangplank, the Sylas that can then engage on you, use the Undying Rage second. So it's very difficult to end the game with a Baron like that. To even get inhibitor turret damage with a Baron like that, we've already lost your Kennen. You didn't have map control.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's actually really interesting because both teams, if left alone with turrets, like this game will just be over because they tear through them. I mean, you look at Hanabi, you've spoken about his items already. Like, he gets some free time with the turret. Those things just die, right? So
it's gone.
Already, like, at 32 minutes into this game, this could end extremely quickly after an ace team fight for both teams because both of them have so much 80 damage.
Yeah. Or we go to 70 minutes because neither team wants to lose.
I've seen Sylas in 74-minute games this year. I like it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm ready. I'm not ready to stop casting.
I don't think the rest of the world is, but I think my LCK fans, you know, they remember the game in question. It was T1 versus Nongshim. It shouldn't have taken 70 minutes. That's not a thing that should be allowed in the game anymore. Because
Jhin SKT have taken 92 minutes?
That's why that's why Elder was invented. You know, and then we found a way to also ignore that. I don't think either of these teams are going to. Elder is going to spawn at the very latest in 10 minutes, right? When we do get possibly to the, or past rather, the full 7 Drake mark that is possible within a game. But that is provided that neither of these teams see an opportunity to pull the trigger. Based on the gameplay we've seen thus far, I'm pretty sure that either of them is going to identify an angle, regardless of whether it's one you should take, and then go all in 50 seconds to the next Drake.
Right now, I mean, Fnatic has positional advantage here. They've got 2 side laners pushing. And right now, Adam has teleport. Obviously, Niski does not, but he's fairly nearby. He's rotating up. This is where PSG is going to have to come to Fnatic because this is the soul for Fnatic. This is not Fnatic ignoring a 3rd Drake. This is actually the important one, the one that you have to stop as PSG. So we're going to have to see a rotation in. Fnatic, the timing of this is so thin. 20 seconds the advantage, right, or rather the timer with the advantage they have, but PSG have now grouped up.
Yeah, they did their homework, though. Top side of the map is dealt with by Adam, and now he's made his way back to the rest of the team. PSG now just trying to tidy up the mid lane. It's great hook onto River from Hillsong, but they're not going to engage. Niski spotted out off to the side, checking their flanks. As Bean finds a deadly flourish. No Q from River.
Adam's got flash.
Again. These are magnetized.
There it is.
As there he goes. Adam finds the stuns. The slicing Maelstrom is just beautiful as Bwimpo puts them into the Cataclysm as well. It's a good kick from River, and they haven't quite got the kills. It's a double from Hanabi. Remember the amount of damage these barrels raining through as Bwimpo's still got a smite, I guess. Looking to see whether they can steal this one away. He gets on in. Not going to be secured. It's Hanabi that takes down the Dragon of all people, and Fnatic is running away. Niski as well.
This is where it gets scary. I mean, you talked about that pushing power with these 2 teams. The burst damage is there. And unfortunately for Fnatic, even though they have great engage, they've got Niski can go into the front line there. You've got Adam with a flash over the wall into that slicing Maelstrom. The damage from being on this Jhin is just too slow. They can't finish off those targets. The other side has a Sylas. They have a Braum. They can live through that initial burst and then actually win that longer fight with those barrels and the Gangplank damage coming through.
And while I love the angle that Fnatic tried to go for, you also saw how ready PSG were, right? Like, they knew that Adam was waiting there, and they were so ready. Like, we're going to get a replay of that fight, I'm sure. And in that, you should see how immediate the response from everyone on PSG is. And then the rest of Fnatic can't really get quite as deep immediately. Also, an insane kick coming through from River.
It was really good.
Look at this. So they are clearly suspecting that there's going to be a play coming in here, right? And then Fnatic, immediately, the flashes come through, but the follow-up damage isn't really there. Maple zones him away, and then look at this kick. 3-man knockup. Niski doesn't get to do nearly as much damage as he would want to with how fed he currently is. And it's the Gangplank.
There's multiple damage dealers
insane.
for PSG, and there's really only one here outside of the initial engage and the cannon going through who's always going to be burst down, always going to be exhausted on the side of Fnatic. I mean, it's really hard to win these longer engages because of that, these longer fights, rather, I should say. And, I mean, the whole map has opened up now for PSG. They've got the Baron, they've got extreme pushing power, and this might just be Fnatic on their last legs.
Yeah, it's crazy because Fnatic did have so much control. There is still only 1.5k in this. This is still very, very close. And Fnatic are able to tidy up these minion waves and try and stop PSG from pushing. But Maple on the bottom side, unanswered for now.
Yeah, if unanswered for even a few seconds, these structures just disappear.
Yeah, Hanabi in that mid lane. He just needs one auto, decides he doesn't want to. It's not even worth his time, Wolf. As the inner turret does fall. And now it is going to be just the Fnatic jungle that will be eradicated of everything. Now Niski going to push back towards that bottom side of the map, closer to 40 minutes into this game. I believe the longest game so far at Worlds was Genji versus Matt, I believe. 45 minutes, something like that.
I wasn't going to mention Genji in this game.
I said Genji without even thinking. I was just trying to remember. Like, it's obviously Genji that has to be in the longest. Oh, no, I've done it now, where I'm teasing Genji, and they haven't even played in the first one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Should not be doing it.
You know, only we can do this, just to be clear. You know, they're our team. We love them very dearly.
I mean, everyone else can do it as
well.
No,
if anyone else talks smack,
I would be very upset.
Are you getting protective of the team you've been teasing? I like it.
The key thing for Fnatic here is, and I'm sure that after this fight they will identify, as long as you kill Hanabi, you can win a team fight, right? Like, with how far behind Unified, yeah, we're deep into the game, you still can't eat a massive bullet time, but especially this lethality build, I don't think is going to be as threatening, especially with how far behind the curve he is. And then Maple has actually been able to pick up quite a few kills. He's going to finish his death cap soon as well, so he has to be dealt with, but it's very bursty, whereas Hanabi basically has enough DPS to just win against everyone on Fnatic. If you can't find a Gangplank, it's not enough, but go to Maple.
Hook, as Maple is going to put down the Undying Rage. Gets himself out of the way, but that means that ultimate unavailable for the next little while.
That's big.
You've got to be so careful about these types of exchanges here as Maple. You don't want to be throwing that away. That Hydra Jack is so massive, you can't use that ultimate anymore. That's one of the best ways for Sylas to buy enough time for those damage dealers, right? The Gangplank and the MF to actually do that damage in those longer fights. And really fighting over basically nothing to actually commit that is so unfortunate. Also lost control of the top side of the map during this as well. So PSG, I mean, it doesn't feel like they just had a Baron buff.
Well, now, I mean, Maple can't steal away the ult. Is Niski, the Undying Rage? Oh my goodness, thankfully does have a little bit more of it. Level 18, of course, so it does last for a while. Is now Fnatic able to run their way out. Hylissang's positioning, I loved that. Being able to get there, grab that hook so that they could get themselves that advantage. I like the idea behind the play. Unfortunately, not able to break open the base with it.
And what's important here is a couple of ultimates have been used. There will be no Cannon Barrage for this Drake. There will be no Dragon's Rage for this Drake. Hanabi doesn't have the teleport available either. So Fnatic, while not being able to actually get anything in terms of structures, in terms of kills, has still made this upcoming fight a lot easier for themselves. And if they can win here, the game is still very much within their grasp.
They've got to kill somebody early in this fight. It needs to be either Unified or Hanabi, or both, ideally.
Oh, this could be the pickoff, though. Adam just destroys the Sylas! His ultimate was better as the hook is going to connect from Hylissang as well, but he does take a lot of damage there as Unified throws down a defensive bullet time, but this will be the Ocean Soul for Fnatic, and Adam, the young gentleman of the top lane, just obliterating one of the oldest veterans of League of Legends in its entirety in Maple.
We talked about that tool being down, is able to steal that ultimate away, but can't use it. And, I mean, you end up dying here in a straight-up side 1v1 before the fight actually happens. We don't even get to discuss how the longer fight goes.
Check. Hook is easy there from Hylissang as well, and Kaiwing has to do this. He has to try and get some vision. As in goes Nisqy. Maybe didn't want to be doing that necessarily, but there is, oh dear, a turret shot in the sky. And the Undying Rage is going to wear off. So, they're going to trade mid laners in the end.
And this is important to remember. Yes, Ocean Soul, very, very good, but we have seen teams lose with it. There is so much damage in the game available right now, if you look at this composition from PSG as well, where they're going to blow you up in seconds. And then that health regen doesn't matter with Maple.
Oh, no, Maple. Out of the Death Chamber, maybe back in there. As he's looking to try and just last for as long as possible. Bean wants this. The flash comes through. There's the curtain call. One of these bullets probably needs to connect, but not really, as the Cataclysm is going to close the gap, and Bean is going to connect it. And now PSG lose their mid laner again.
They push top here. The Baron spawn timer is perfect for this. It's going to be a cross-map rotation over. I mean, there's just enough time here for Fnatic. If they rush right over to have this, they have flash for Adam, so you can flash Slicing Maelstrom into this. They need to rush over now, though. Yeah. A little bit slow on the realization.
The Baron's down to 3,000. Okay, so they do have the vision available as Adam ults. And then his team probably tells him to back away. I would assume that's why he's sort of drive by Slicing Maelstroms there.
This is a game of League of Legends that has been very back and forth, okay? There's a lot going on. There's some missteps on both sides. You can tell the tensions are high, right?
I will have no Adam slander. He got them the Ocean Soul, okay?
I think that the rest of the team was like, no, Adam, don't.
We're fine.
Don't do it. Not another solo laner.
I mean,
you
could see. I mean, we could see everything, right? The fans could see everything, and this is a moment where it's like, oh god, how low is the Baron? Like, can we fight this? I want to get that speed up on the Slice and Maelstrom. Maybe we can turn this, so you get desperate, but that tool is not going to be available now for the defense.
Still have the cooldown available, though. It comes up very, very quickly. We're very deep into the game, but if PSG can push before that is available, the Maelstrom is such a big team fight moment.
Hanabi is just nursing his barrels right now, waiting for that opportunity, waiting for Fnatic to step too far forward. Does have his cannon barrage. All of the cooldowns that PSG want are up and available.
Maple's about to have his teleport
no, there it is. That was the pick that they were looking for, and Hylissang unfortunately walks into the trap. This is going to be a free inhibitor. Nisqy had cancelled his back as well. He was trying to continue pushing, but Maple, like you say, was back. PSG, they're not wanting to stop this. It's Hanabi. These barrels are just so scary.
Teleport coming through from Maple.
See whether PSG can continue to do this. The Nexus turret's taking so much damage.
Slicing Maelstrom's almost up.
Yep, the hijack on the Undying Rage as well as Adam. Gonna fake this one out, but Bwipo now just gonna flash away. Does have the Cataclysm available. River now looking for his opportunity onto Bean. There's the flash forward. Adam doesn't get exhausted. He's going to cut through the Braum, but I think the PSG can still fight with this one. Cannon Barrage now on cooldown, not actually hitting any of the members of Fnatic. As the curtain call comes on in. Not going to get too much joy here as Fnatic should be able to hold on to this one as Adam, underneath the relative safety of his inhibitor turret. And PSG are pushed away.
I mean, look, they got value out of redemption on this hold. They dropped the redemption down. That buys just enough time. Adam goes in. He's got the flash. Maelstrom gets a pick there. And somehow, some way, even without those flourishes connecting from Bean, they're able to pull this off. This game continues.
Fnatic is not letting this one go. EU hasn't won yet today. And they're going to get it, even if it's the last thing they do. That barrel by Hanabi. Actually insane. You see exactly the threat that this character provides. Now has 6 items, sold his boots, so you can't get near the barrels at all, and starting to feel, to me, like I said 10 minutes ago, Elder is about to spawn. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be an Elder Thip, surely, at this point in the game.
I mean, it starts to feel that way. The question is, can PSG start to control the map, because they will have this inhibitor powering through mid, and they could deal with the side laners here if they collapse quickly. Adam, flashless right now, because he had to use that to defend. That's not going to be up in time for this Elder fight. His Slicing Maelstrom he will have teleport, but he's not going to have a teleport ward, because they lost full control of this bottom side of the map. So, yes, Fnatic stay alive, but in terms of how this next fight goes, it is going to be definitely way harder for them to steal this Elder away. PSG have all the advantages.
Yeah, they can set up for it, most definitely, but the fact that Fnatic have kept one Nexus turret alive, you know, it's mid lane. They're going to be in mid lane anyway, right? And Fnatic are now pushing forward. Whoever wins a team fight, if there's ever an ace, the game's over. It doesn't matter who it is.
There's also a TP ward. in the base. And I don't know if Hanabi can take on a turret by himself through the backdoor resistances that the turret gets. But what if he does?
He has a lot of items.
River?
Now River, okay, he's now gonna look for the kick, does find it on the beat here. Gale forces to get himself out of the way. Cannon Barrage not exactly finding the value that they want. Is Hylissang gonna flash out, gets that hook back in as well. Twippo decides that he just wants to dive straight on top of PSG. Maple looks for the backline as well. There's the slicing Maelstrom. The CC is beautiful under Maple. He's thrown around like a ragdoll, but he keeps himself alive. 1 versus 4, that was ridiculous, and PSG, they can see that one last Nexus turret, and they're pushing for it.
Tryndamere is so broken that even when the enemy team doesn't have him, they utilize the ultimate there. Maple single-handedly takes down multiple people, and this might be it here.
Yeah,
it looks like
Niski
it
was
is.
trying to do it.
He was trying so hard, man, but Fnatic, they cross the map, they see an opportunity, they thought they could take the fight to PSG, but they fall flat in the end.
There is so much damage, and this Nexus is not going to stand a chance. It was so heartfelt from Fnatic. But PSG will go up to 2-1 in the group.
One of our closest and longest games here in Worlds, but this is the mental crusher. This is the one that hurts. You had a lead in your first game, you lost it. You know, we had great jungle pathing, you're playing with a sub.